All right, let's jump right into this explainer. We're going to break down a literal, terrifying race between life and death happening right inside the human body. We're talking about the exact 2-minute biological sequence of a heart attack, from that very first microscopic trigger all the way to the dramatic real-world consequences. But hey, real quick before we get into the heavy stuff, please make sure to like, share, subscribe, and drop a comment for the Fresh Vitals channel. Seriously, your support is what lets us keep bringing you these deep dive medical explainers. So let's start with a crucial, sobering fact. These medical emergencies happen to millions of people every single year. And honestly, the wildest part about this is how they actually begin. You see, a heart attack rarely announces itself days in advance with blaring sirens. No, it usually strikes on what looks like a perfectly normal day for a completely healthy-looking person. Picture a 50-year-old guy just walking down a busy city street, feeling absolutely fine, totally unaware that a hidden timeline is quietly advancing right inside his chest. To really grasp the severity of what goes wrong, we first need to look at when things are going right. Let's anchor ourselves at a baseline of 72 beats per minute. This is your normal sinus rhythm. In this optimal everyday state, your heart is just a perfectly tuned machine. It's effortlessly pumping bright, oxygen-rich blood, and that blood is flowing smoothly through wide, open coronary arteries. It's literally nourishing the very muscle that keeps you alive in this beautiful, continuous loop. But that perfect rhythm, it can be hijacked by a hidden danger. If we shift from that big picture, everyday view and zoom way, way down to a microscopic level inside the coronary artery itself, we find the silent progression of atherosclerosis. It's a slow burn. Over years, maybe even decades, that healthy artery changes. It develops mild plaque, then moderate plaque, and finally severe narrowing. It is a slow, stealthy process that completely escapes our day-to-day notice. Now, what's actually making up that buildup? Well, it's fascinating, but it's also kind of terrifying. We're not talking about some generic clog here. It is a highly specific, dangerous cocktail of cholesterol, fat, calcium, and inflammatory cells. This toxic biological sludge creates a plaque that stubbornly clings to the artery walls, and as it slowly grows, it steadily chokes off blood flow. But the truly scary part? It usually does all of this long before any noticeable physical symptoms ever pop up to warn you. And then the countdown begins. Suddenly, the internal tension spikes because the microscopic surface of that unstable plaque actually cracks. It's a tiny, almost imperceptible rupture, right? But the physiological consequences are absolutely massive. The body's natural defense mechanism kicks in instantly, but it makes a fatal mistake. It misinterprets this little crack as a traumatic bleeding injury. So platelets, those tiny cells responsible for clotting, rush to the site to seal the rupture, rapidly forming a blood clot that is literally growing second by second. This right here is the critical tipping point of the entire event. That clot the body formed to quote-unquote heal the plaque, it's now grown so large that it completely blocks the artery. The highway is entirely shut down. This stops the life-sustaining blood flow to a section of the heart dead in its tracks. All that vibrant, oxygen-rich blood gets trapped behind this biological dam, and the heart muscle downstream is immediately plunged into a state of severe choking crisis. So, if we pull back from that microscopic, internal view to the external reality, what happens to that guy walking down the street? He suddenly stops. His body is sending out an immediate, urgent distress signal. Intense chest pressure, a feeling of tightness, sudden profuse sweating, this deep, overwhelming sense of anxiety or doom, and shortness of breath. The internal plumbing problem we just tracked has suddenly exploded into a terrifying, real-world physical reaction. Medically speaking, the actual cellular event driving those symptoms is called a myocardial infarction. That's the official term for a heart attack. It happens when the heart muscle is completely starved of oxygen. Down at the cellular level, energy production violently grinds to a halt, and healthy cells literally begin to die. That previously vibrant pink tissue turns a dark, bruised red. And because of this spreading, localized death, the heart's overall pumping efficiency just drops off a cliff. Now, as the damaged heart really struggles to pump and the body's overall blood pressure falls, the pain doesn't just stay in the chest, it radiates. It travels outward along the body's complex nerve pathways, shooting down into the left arm, creeping up into the shoulder, radiating into the neck, and even causing a severe, deep ache in the jaw. It's a full-body alarm system just screaming that an essential organ is failing. I literally cannot stress this enough. Every single minute without treatment increases heart muscle damage. This is a very real biological race between life and death. The heart muscle, it can't just regenerate the way a scraped knee does. As the clock ticks on the wall, every single minute that passes without medical intervention drastically increases the spread of permanent, irreversible cellular death inside that heart wall.
And if that blockage remains, things escalate to a fatal extreme. Remember that normal, smooth electrical rhythm we started with? It degrades into dangerous instability. It morphs into chaotic ventricular fibrillation. The heart totally stops functioning as a coordinated pump, and instead it just quivers uselessly. Because it's not pumping, blood pressure plummets.
This electrical chaos leads directly to cardiac arrest. That's the sudden loss of blood flow resulting from the heart failing to pump effectively. Guys, it is a catastrophic system failure. Blood circulation to the entire body nearly stops entirely. The brain is rapidly starved of oxygen, and within seconds, the patient loses consciousness and collapses. We've officially moved from a localized heart attack to a full-body shutdown. But wait, the race isn't over yet. This is where human intervention steps in. Emergency responders jump in to perform a crucial sequence of life-saving actions. First, emergency CPR is initiated to manually pump that blood. Next, a defibrillator is applied to shock that chaotic electrical system back into a normal rhythm. And finally, once in a hospital, doctors perform rapid surgical procedures to reopen that blocked artery, allowing oxygen-rich blood to once again rush in and stabilize the dying tissue. Okay, let's pause for a second. If you take absolutely nothing else away from this explainer, I need you to memorize this exact checklist of early warning signs: chest pain or pressure, sweating, shortness of breath, pain in the arm, jaw, or neck, and nausea or dizziness. Lock these in your memory. If you or someone around you experiences these, the time to act is right that very second. You must call emergency services immediately to stop the clock on that cellular damage. This all brings us back to the core philosophy of this explainer, which is beautifully captured by FreshVitals. Your heart doesn't wait, neither should you. It's a fantastic motto because it perfectly sums up the strict biological reality we just walked through. The heart muscle dies minute by minute, cell by cell. Fast medical treatment doesn't just save heart muscle, it fundamentally saves human lives.
To wrap things up, I want to leave you with a bit of a provocative thought. If the clock started ticking right now, if that invisible 2-minute race began in the chest of the person sitting next to you, would you recognize those early warning signs in time to save their life? The line between a normal day and a tragedy is often just having the right information. I sincerely hope this explainer has empowered you with some crucial medical knowledge today. Thanks so much for learning with me, and remember to always respect your vitals.